Greetings, travelers, and welcome back to Ars Magica tutorial. Last episode, we just kind of covered the basics and what you need to get started, as well as making your compendium and everything else. So today we're going to get into spell crafting and some of the basic structures. Most importantly, the plan is to get into the Obelisks, because that's something I know a lot of people struggle and have a difficult time with. So to get started, some of the things you're going to need. Alright, so there are some spells that you will absolutely need to progress. And then there's another one, and this was confirmed by a user in a previous comment. Another spell that you can use to really help with leveling up, more because it's something you'll use all the time anyway. So to get this components you need, let me go in here and real quickly go to survival so you can see this. So you're going to need a grand total of 9 blue points and 1 green point to make this happen. So the 9 blue points are because these are the minimum components you're going to need to progress. You're going to need projectile. You're going to need to do force, because that unlocks down here. Then fire and magic, because you need to unlock these two. And then frost and lightning. And finally, area of effect. And then in the utility tab, you're going to need touch, dig, and light. So once you have all those components, now the first ones you're going to need obviously are the projectile, force, and fire. And then for utility, these three, those are the ones you absolutely need in order to progress. The additional ones, the lightning and the frost and the magic and the AoE, you need these three to get to AoE, and you need AoE for the third spell that you'll want to make to help. Usually can get to it by the time you're level 10. You may even find some of the green orbs in dungeon chests, depending on the mod pack or mod list that you're using, because they do those orbs that you can get, and I'll show you those real quick. The orbs are something you can get as dungeon loot. Go back here, and that's these. The blue, the green, the red. Red, very, very rare. I've gotten quite a few blue in chests, especially when mining. The green, occasionally. On one map I'm playing, I've got a very large quarry that has, because I'm also using a mod for some random structures, I've gotten probably about 10 or 12 of the blue, and like 2 or 3 green, no red yet. But I have been in packs where the reds come up. Usually when I find those, they're in the Thaumcraft dungeon generation. Those little, I want to say, little mounds that have a dungeon underneath, usually with some kind of sinister node. That's where I've seen those come up. Mod pack will vary, of course. But that'll help you get points faster than leveling up. But, you know, what I showed you, the 9 blue and 1 green, are the minimum you'll need. Obviously more is better. Unlock all the things. Oh. Okay, so when you get those, oh, wrong one. You're going to do the 3 spells, and I'll show you those really quick. So the 3 spells, one is, I call it basic fire. It literally is area of effect, projectile, and then fire. That's it. The other one is mage light, which is still projectile, but instead of fire, you're using light. And then the last one is projectile, area of effect, and dig. Now this will allow you to, and it's a tiny little bit, I think it's a 3x3. When you increase the casting strength, it goes larger, but just to help you dig faster. And because you're digging, most people in the beginning have to mine. When you're mining, you're getting your resources, but you're also helping to increase your level. The minimum level to get to area of effect looks like it's going to be about 10 as a mage. So you'll have to use the other two, the fire and the light, before you can get to that one. You will have to level up a few times anyway to get to Fire and Light, because you're not going to be able to get those 2 spells right off the bat. So keep that in mind. Now, the first structure we're going to do today, because, well, we need to make these spells. So let me go get the supplies and get started, and I will be right back. Alright, welcome back. Alright, so the materials we're going to use here, this is assuming, because we're trying to go with relatively early game. Depending on, most people, if you're in a large mod pack, you'll have used other mods probably before you hit Ars Magica. So the assumption is going to be that you have access to nether brick and lapis. Now, if you look in the book, you'll see that you can go different. Now, the benefit is nether brick is one of the higher level for effects. So you can go 3. Nether quartz, same thing. Now, the caps, however, you got several kinds, starting with glass, coal, redstone, iron, etc., all the way up to moonstone and sunstone. Now, moonstone is something that you'll start seeing as meteors that will generate in the world once you start playing with Ars Magica. Sunstone is in the nether, so you might have access to this, but that's, 4 blocks of that's 36 sunstone, and considering it's in the middle of pools of lava typically, it's going to be rather difficult. So considering that you're going to be doing this probably from the beginning, I went with lapis because it's something that you can usually get early on and usually get large amounts. So 4 blocks of lapis should be pretty easy, especially in the beginning. You can always upgrade or create a new altar as you go, but again, we're trying to go with early game. So to start, now I usually set mine down into the ground, and the main base, I'm not going to do this entire thing on camera because the book itself is very good at telling you what you need to do, but I just wanted to show you the initial materials we're going to use. Now, a couple of the blocks that aren't World Gen are going to be the magic walls, which is this. That's something you have to create, and that is going to be using Vin Diem Dust. As a side note, you guys notice I'm not going to do a lot of the recipes on screen. Most anybody playing mods is going to be using NEI, so you can get the recipes very easily. This is one of those, again, I'll show you just for the sake of it. It's on there. So Vin Diem Dust, you get, it's World Gen, it comes as a block, and then you have to smelt it to get the dust, and you get a lot of magic walls for just very little Vin Diem. So I'm going to go ahead and finish building this structure, and then I will be right back. Alright, welcome back everybody. So you got here the nether brick structure. Now, the one thing you will know the structure is complete when this center block, which is the crafting altar, takes on the texture of the altar, in this case the nether brick. If it doesn't do that, something is missing. You need to go through and double check. The nice thing about this particular part of the book is it will show you each layer you can do. That way you know what you've got for each layer in case there's a problem. Alright, now the first spell we're going to do is going to be my basic fire spell. Now, one of the things you'll notice is it tells you, this part, it just reminds you what you put in there. But ultimately, this is what you're looking for, is the materials list. These are the items you will need in order to make the spell. Alright, and then it tells you affinity. But the important part for this, for you, is going to be these items. So, let me go and get those items together, and then I will be back again. Alright, welcome back. We've got the supplies. So, again, to recap, if you look here on the list, we need a blank rune, Vin Diem Dust, arrow, snowball, red rune, flint steel, spell parchment, and that's it. Now, this is one of the things I like most about this. If you position yourself just right, when you throw the items in, you'll see in the book over there what the next item to throw in is. That way you don't have to keep looking at the book and remember the order. And you get a little bit of sound if you're listening, but I got mine turned down. And of course, the last part, that's how you know that you have the spell. Now, the first time you go to right click to use it, It's going to ask you to name it, which you've already done. You can rename it if you decide that that name wasn't good enough. And you're going to want to give it a icon. And since this is literally a basic fireball, I'm going to give it a little tiny fireball spell. You hit escape, and now it's all set. Now you can do fire. Yay! Okay, so real quick suggestion. Once you start getting into spells, you're going to have you got to have them, obviously, as you can see, to use them in your hand. A way around that, spellbook, because if you've got a whole lot of spells, you're going to want one of these. And you can see you can store a ton of them. Only the ones in this first section will be the ones that are active, and you can always tab through those. But that way you can have your spells and eat them too. And if you're on that and you hold shift, and at least if you have a mouse wheel. Now I only have one spell, you won't see it, but you can see my hand moving. That is because if there were spells, I'd be scrolling through them. That's an easy way to quick switch through that. Alright, so now that we've got our first spell, you're going to want to continue to use it. On my screen, I've set it up where it shows the XP all the time if I have a spell in my hand, as well as my level and how much experience there is. Now, with spells like with the spells, they actually physically be used. Just casting them isn't good enough. So you'd have to have a mob to use it. And that's how you level up. So let me go ahead and get the other two spells that I made done, and then I will be back once again. Alright, welcome back, folks. Alright, so all the spells are done, and the area dig leads into the next part of this tutorial, which is going to be the obelisks. So, the first one you'll need, in order to do the AoE dig spell, or dig in general, is you are going to need some kind of essence. So before you can do that spell, you're going to have to want to start with the neutral. Neutral is going to be the easiest to do because it's simply just the obelisk, and then you just feed it with buckets of Ethereum, which is those pools you find randomly throughout World Spawn. And you'll probably want to do a battery because just for extra storage, you don't need to do that. I did because of what I was doing. But the obelisk at a basis, this is all you need to start. Alright? It's a simple recipe. You make it, put it down in the ground, and then it's got an interface. You just put it with a bucket of Ethereum, and it starts doing its thing. That's all there is to it. Now, this is where the advanced part comes in. We're going to talk about making these better. Because one of the nice things that they've added for the new Ars Magica and Ars Magica 2 is upgrading of these. So in the old ones, you would have your basic structure with the 4 points, with the stone brick and the chiseled brick, and then a circle in the middle. No longer. Now you have the obelisk, and then you can upgrade it using the pillars. And we're just going to do this real quick. And this just improves the output and speed. And then the wizard chalk you can do, and this one will use the book to show. So if you go in the wizard book, all the way back, and go back to structures, you got the obelisk. So it'll show you that you can do, like it says here, all does not have to be built at once. So we're going to do, this one's got the basic circle, so we'll just go right there. So you got that, that's it. So you just literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's done. That is a completed neutral circle. And like I said, I got the battery there just for the extra storage. And that's because the dig spell needed 1,000 of any type. In this case, I just did the neutral because it was the easiest and quickest to put up. And then you pair either the obelisk or the battery to the centerpiece here, flip the lever, and when it's done getting the essence, the lever flips back, and you move on to the next step. Alright, so once you have your spells, and again, this is why we have the spell book. So see, spell book, and now we have 3 spells. We're going to do the dig and the basic one. See? And if we go... So anyway, that'll do the one at a time. Now if you want to go, you can do Area of Effect on the dig. Not very effective. But basic mining, you can keep casting it until you're ready. I don't think you'll actually be able to use more than you can regenerate. So you can see you can mine pretty fast. Much better than using a pick once you get to it. And you can just, basically leave out the piece for the Area of Effect, but once you get to where you have other casting modes for strength, which is what you're looking for, that's when the Area of Effect actually comes into play, because the Area of Effect will allow you to dig out larger areas. So, but in the meantime, you do dig. So, let's go here, get this. So the next spell that we're going to work on, or Obelisk, is we're going to do... I'm going to go here. We're going to go with the Black Orem. Now you don't need this. What you do need, most importantly, let's go back here, is rituals. So you're going to do Ritual of Corruption, and that gives you the layout. So what you'll do is you decide where you want your obelisk to be. So in this case, I want it to be relatively close. We're going to put it back here. Alright. And then using the book, you're going to lay it out. Now keep in mind that the obelisk goes in the center here. So you'll have chalk, chalk. And yeah, I know it's hard to see on the sandstone. I apologize for that. Alright, and then in each corner, now notice in this ritual, these 2 items, you will need both of these to complete the ritual, or to complete this. So what we're going to do real quick, let me go in here and grab those. Now these are craftable. At this point you're probably going to want to have created a Calefactor, which is Ars Magica Furnace. It can do everything a regular furnace does, plus it does the items for... because you'll need like Arcane Compound, Ash, that kind of stuff. So you're going to do 2 things here. First, you need to make these candles. And you are going to put the candles in each corner here. Then you're going to drop both of these items. You'll need your spellbook out because you will need the fire. And you're just going to shoot the fire at the obelisk. Once you do, you get this. This is the Black Orem. This is the one you feed it monsters or whatever you want, and that gets you the Black Orem. Same type of upgrade though. You get the center here, but you can do... Alright. And now the major difference is this one uses nether brick, just like in the old ones. Go here. Oh, where was it back? It uses nether brick, and then you can either put sunstone. You can actually do several different ones. It even tells you in here the different ones how much the generation is. you can use obsidian, chimerite, which are probably easier to get to, blocks of sunstone. Not so sure you'll have enough to do just like with this, 4 blocks, but I guess at the point that you can get it relatively easily, swap out this and these. You're just going to do this nether brick and be similar shape, 2 high in each of the 4 corners. And since we're doing creative, we will do the sunstone blocks. There we go. And that will increase the generation from it. Now at this stage, depending on the mod pack you're in, you can either just find a spawner in the world, move it over and let it spawn, and as they spawn, this thing will suck the monsters in, kill them, and give you back black essence, dark essence. But I think for this episode, I think we're going to cut it here. But that gives you the basics, so you get to see the spell crafting part. You get to see at least the neutral and dark obelisks. And next episode, the plan is I'll show you the light one just to get you going. And then we will talk about some of the more advanced spells that you can do as you get higher up in the levels, and some of the other machines. Probably the episode after that, we'll talk about the other machines in Ars Magica. But thank you guys all for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. But thank you very much, and you guys have a great day.